All right, so we got some new Bricc Baby news. The sentencing memorandum came out Friday. That was the 5th, right? Yeah, so Friday, the sentencing memorandum came out. Let's go over it. Or no, sentencing memorandum. The date is 9 a.m., December 19th. Courtroom of Honorary Fernando L. Rocha. The plaintiff is Zahir Mitchell, Bricc Baby. I don't really want to say that word because monetization. MPA, you can read it, bro. I ain't really trying to say that this early in the video. So plaintiff of the United States of America by and through its counsel of record, the first assistant. This is pretty much the opening reading, just a bunch of nonsense. Hereby the files of its sentencing memorandum. The sentencing memorandum is based upon the attached memorandum of points of authority, the files and records in this case, and such further evidence and arguments as the court may permit. And this was December 5th. So the introduction is, defendant Zahir Mitchell has pleaded guilty to being a felon in possession of firearms and ammunition seized from his home in 2023 and admitted to also being a felon in possession of more ammunition he fired at others in a parking lot in 2012, or 2022, my bad. So I guess he admitted to that. I think there's video of that exists, I'm not too sure, as well as submitting a fraudulent application for disaster relief based on the January 2025 fires. For his crimes, the United States Probation and Pretrial Services calculate a total offense level of 23 points and a criminal history category of 6, resulting in a sentencing guideline range of 92 to 115 months. So I guess he got the low term for it, at least, imprisonment. The United States Probation Office further found no basis for a departure or variance from that range. So pretty much he probably didn't tell on anybody, is what that's saying. The government agrees and respectfully recommends that defendant be sentenced to 92 months imprisonment, 3 years supervised release, no fine, and $100 special assessment. So here they're going to lay out the defendant's crimes. Over multiple months in 2023, law enforcement intercepted defendant on a wiretap of multiple Rollin 60 gang members, phones on multiple intercepted calls. Defendant was heard discussing criminal activity, including recounting murders he committed as a youth. In March and June 2023 on intercepted calls. Multiple people accused defendant of pointing a gun at them and even defendant's own daughter. That's cold work, Bricc. That is cold work. Law enforcement then sought a search warrant for defendant's home where they found 3 firearms. See, this happened because they had his phone tapped, and I think he was arguing with his old lady and talking to other people about the argument. And when the feds hear you doing any kind of like violence or perpetrating it, they have no choice but to step in and do something. But that's cold work. Even defendant's own daughter, Bricc. I can't condone that, Bricc. I just can't. Law enforcement then sought a search warrant for defendant's home where they found 3 firearms, including an assault rifle-style firearm, over 125 rounds of ammunition. Law enforcement also learned that defendant shot 3 bullets in a business parking lot in July 2022 to ward off would-be robbers. See, that's almost like self-defense, but they're still going to charge you with the gun because you're not allowed to have them. They found another firearm and even more ammunition when they arrested him on those charges in March 2025. And that's the day after they did the pod on No Jumper with Luce. Each possession followed multiple prior felony convictions, any of which alone prohibit him from possessing any firearms or ammunition, not to mention the dangerous and lawful ways he was using the firearms, even if he was permitted to possess them. Well, he wasn't permitted to possess them. But if you look back at that podcast, it almost looks like he leans back and lifts up his shirt so people could see it. I don't know. I would be a little more on my P's and Q's, have it on the other side, I don't know, man. You got to be a little more aware of everything that's going on instead of trying to look cool online. Separate and apart from defendant's unlawful possession of the firearms and ammunition, in February 2025, defendant filed an application for disaster assistance, knowingly and falsely claiming that defendant was renting a home in Pasadena, California that was destroyed by the Eaton fires. By doing so, defendant attempted to receive Federal Emergency Management Agency FEMA benefits. Defendant knew, however, that he never lived or rented the home in Pasadena, was not a victim of the Eaton fires, which was declared on federal disaster, and was not entitled to any of the benefits of the funds he sought in filing the false applications. When the genuine homeowner and victim of the disaster filed for a loan, it was denied due to defendant's pending false application. Now that this is all public and put out there, I heard him sometimes trying to do this shit on the phone, and I was just like, bro, I mean, maybe you would have got away with it if they didn't have your phone tapped, but, I mean, knowing that the cops heard you threaten your old lady and all that shit back then, wouldn't you think that your phone was tapped then? Like, why are you even trying to do that knowing your phone's probably tapped? Guideline calculations. The USPO, I think United States Probation Office, I'm assuming, and government agree that the base offense level for each count in the indictment is 20 under some legal code because defendant has been convicted of a crime of violence before. Committing each of those crimes, criminalizing willful threats to commit a crime which will result in death or a great bodily injury to another person. These are like precedent cases. All this is precedent cases. United States and parties agrees that a 4-level increase under more legal numbers applies because defendant possessed ammunition in connection with another felony offense, namely shooting at people from a parking lot. Finally, for defendant fraud in connection with a major disaster and emergency benefits, the United States and parties agreed to all the calculations. Specifically, the base offense level is 7 under, and the resulting offense level is increased to 12 under. I guess let me see what this is so I can just start saying it correctly. The highest total offense level of the foregoing counts is 24, which receives a 2-level increase for multiple counts. The United States and government agreed that a 3-level reduction for acceptance of responsibility applies. Here, an asterisk at the bottom. Neither party is bound to the base offense levels listed in the plea agreement for the Title 18 922G counts because defendant's base offense level was altered by a prior conviction for a crime of violence. Yeah, they pull up everything, man. They do a whole criminal background check, which I guess all courts do, really. Now, Section 4, Government's Recommendations. The court must impose a sentence that is sufficient but not greater than necessary to achieve the purpose set forth in Title 18. The court shall consider the nature and the circumstances of the offense and the history of the characteristics of the defendant. In addition, the court should fashion a sentence that reflects the seriousness of the offense, promotes respect for the rule of law, provides just punishment for the offenses, affords adequate deterrence to criminal conduct, and protects the public from future crimes of the defendant, among other considerations. The government recommends that defendant be sentenced to 92 months imprisonment, which is the low end of the guidelines range, such as a sentence is sufficient but not greater than necessary to achieve the purpose set forth. Yeah, so I think he's getting 92 months. He gets sentenced on December 19th, but if the guidelines is 92 to 115 months and he got the low term, he kind of needs to be happy with that. I was hoping he would get 48 to 60 months, 4 to 5 years. 7 years, that's a little on the high side, but at least he got a date. He'll be home one day. Nature and circumstances of the offense. The court must consider the nature, circumstances, seriousness of the offense. The government proposed sentence reflects the seriousness of defendant's crimes. And I'm pretty sure when you take a deal, the judge has the say-so. So if the judge is recommending this, then that's probably what you're going to get. In this case alone, defendant possessed multiple firearms on multiple occasions and over 125 rounds of ammunition, some of which he fired. First, defendant shot at would-be robbers in a business parking lot. Less than a year later, he was found with more firearms. After purportedly pointing them at his partner and child. Like I said earlier, man, Bricc, I don't condone that, man. Dude, last night at my daughter's band competition, we were waiting in line, and they really don't let you down the stairs until the band's done. So we had to wait for that band to be done so we go. And there was like these two like Latino couples. They were like arguing, you could tell they had beef. But at one point, the dude like put his hand in the other lady's face and pushed her. Oh, man, dude. And I carry like a little like stadium chair that folds open because sitting on those bleachers, man, messes up my sciatic and hurts my back. As soon as I seen that, I put my chair down and I was like, bro, this ain't my battle. But if this dude ends up smacking this lady, bro, I'm going to smack this dude. Like, especially right here in front of all these. Well, maybe not smack him because it's a kid event and a bunch of families, but I'm at least gonna get in the middle and be like, bro, get the hell out of here, bro. Like, what are you doing, man? It was a little crazy. Like, how y'all, like, put that beef to the side while you're right here in public at a family event. And then dude ended up walking off, but, oh, man. I had to put my chair down because who knows what was coming next. Each time defendant was prohibited from even possessing firearms and ammunition, let alone so dangerously using them. Defendant then proposed yet another firearm the night before his arrest during a live stream podcast, and that was on No Jumper, with one of his rivals. That gun can be seen in defendant's waistband. His rival. Fucking loose cannon. His possession of the firearm the following day, along with even more ammunition at home with his child during the latest arrest, only further corroborated the needed for a significant sentence. I wonder, they probably already had that raid set up for the next morning, and it just kind of coincidentally happened that night. You know what I'm saying? Probably just coincidentally flashed the gun. They were probably already had the raid set, because if that shit was at 8 o'clock at night, I doubt they would have been like, all right, get on the phone. All right, we got to bust all these dudes tomorrow morning. So it probably just coincidentally lined up, and they're like, I mean, if he would have waited or if that didn't happen, he wouldn't have this extra charge on here, which would maybe get him a little less time, but who knows. But defendant's crimes do not pertain only to violence and weapon possession. In this plea agreement, defendant admitted to fraudulently applying for FEMA benefits by claiming to be a renter of a Pasadena home that was destroyed in the Eaton fires. All right, we already covered that part. Defendant's crimes have consequences, first for his victims and now for himself. This is why the government is seeking a 92-month sentence. Oh, so I guess this is the DA probably seeking it, and I think the judge has the final say-so, but if the low's 92 months and the high's 115 months, I mean, I would bet that he's getting the 92 months for sure. History and characteristics of defendant. Defendant's history and characteristics also warrant a 92-month sentence. Defendant's criminal history is decades long. His first felon in possession of firearm offense specifically dates back to 2009. And how old is Bricc? I think 36. And that would be, I mean, he got busted 2024. So that'd be 15 years. So the first time he got busted with a gun was like when he was 21. His probation violations began no later than 2012. And by 2014, he threatened a crime with intent to terrorize his victims. Received a stay-away order. All right, let's read this asterisk real quick. Leading up to the 2023 search warrant, defendant stated on Intercept's call that he would be simply throw the firearms off the balcony of his apartment into the courtyard below if the police ever arrived, which he attempted to do when the search warrant was executed. Yeah, remember, I think he told that story. And then he even said when the story, like a drone, like they raided the house and they threw a drone in around his house to like make sure everything was clear before they came in, which is kind of crazy, but that's technology for you. Terrorized his victim, received a stay-away order, and blew through the court's leniency with multiple probation revocations. Much like his attitude encapsulated in wiretaps in this case and on video podcasts as late as this year. Back in 2016, he assaulted victims with a deadly weapon when he lifted his shirt to brandish a firearm saying, "Don't F with me." Even the 6-year prison sentence for robbery in 2020 did not dissuade defendant from committing all the crimes in this case. Yeah, I really hope he would have learned his lesson after he got out from that stupid vape store ordeal. And when he tells his story, it's like he didn't even do nothing wrong. Just wrong place, wrong time, keeping the wrong company. And that's where you got to be careful, man. Like, who you hanging out with? Because if you hanging out with some dump trucks, they're going to get you in a wreck. All of that, which is only a fraction of defendant's criminal history, surpassing the points needed to be in the highest criminal history category, includes a high-speed chase ending with defendant barricading himself inside a home on television, which defendant later glamorized in music videos, warrants the government's recommended sentence. Need for deterrence and to promote respect for the law. The recommended 92-month sentence is necessary not only to deter defendant, but also to adequately deter others. The sentence imposed is required to afford adequate deterrence to criminal conduct, which encompasses both specific and general deterrence. This 92-month term of imprisonment is warranted hereby adequately deter defendant and others from further criminal conduct. It is longer than past sentences he has received for a good reason. Defendant past sentences were too lenient to promote his respect for the law. Supervised release. And I think, like, I think the feds release you to a halfway house like 6 months before your release date, maybe 3 months, but I think 6 months. Given the seriousness of the instant offenses, the imposition of the 3-year term of supervised release would provide a need for additional incentive for defendant to refrain from committing further crimes. And it's like when you think he gets out, 7 years, Adam, I think, just turned 42, right? So Adam will almost be 50. Do you think Adam will be still sitting down with gang members and doing all this stuff at 50? Like, will Bricc have a place to go work when he gets out? In this case alone, defendant admitted to 3 separate crimes during the 3 separate years, starting off with shooting, ending in the disaster, and ending with the disaster fraud. His criminal history, which landed him in the highest criminal history category, is riddled with prior probation violations. A 3-year term of supervised release is sufficient, but not greater than necessary to protect the public and deter future criminal conduct. Defendant and his conduct are full of contradictions. Defendant purports to be dedicated father and indeed appeared to be present caregiver for his youngest child. I mean, I gotta give him that, bro. I would see him definitely with his kid taken care of. I would see him going to all his daughter's high school events. I'm not sure what she did, but he'd always be going and doing stuff. So it's like the ups and downs. Like, he'd be a good dude, but then it seems like he'd lose his temper sometimes. Dedicated father and indeed appeared to be present caregiver for his youngest child. Defendant also kept illegal loaded dangerous firearms present in multiple residences unsecured. See, that's dangerous, bro. But, I mean, if you're a gang member, you got to keep it on you, right? Like, if something happens, you can't have to go look for it, because then you'll probably be a little too late for whatever's coming. But that's why there's no future in gangbanging, man, and having all these ops and all this crap. Defendant is also a charismatic and talented public figure, but this far defendant has used his gifts merely to glamorize violence, drug use, and a life of crime, and has been unable and or unwilling to transition fully from that life to a productive one. It is these contradictions that demand a guideline sentence, but one at the low end of those guidelines. So at least they're saying, since he seems like a good dude, they're going to go on the low end. That demand a guideline sentence, but one at the low end of the guidelines. Thus, the government respectfully recommends that defendant be sentenced to 92 months imprisonment, 3 years supervised release, no fine, and a $100 special assessment. And right here, this is the end of it, last page. There's a little asterisk at the bottom. The government recommends that the court at sentencing incorporate by reference and impose the standard conditions of supervised release and enumerated in Second Amendment General Order 20-04. I mean, so what do y'all think? What do you think he's getting? You think he's getting the 92 months? Let's do the math on that. So 92 months, divide 12, that's 7.6 years, right? Now let's subtract, if he doesn't get in any trouble, I seen Rick Rock earlier on his video saying, oh, get a phone, do that. But I don't know if you watched any of the Omni Hellcat interviews that he's done with Say Cheese. That fool got caught with a couple phones, and he was supposed to get out May this year, and he's getting out in like a month. So getting caught with 2 phones have extended that dude's time by like 8 months. So I don't know. If you're trying to come home, I would stay away from the phone. And I don't think the feds play. It's not like the state where you see B-Brays and all these guys going live in their cells. Like, that's a little crazy, too. I wonder what they got worked out with the popos. So 7.6 months, or 7 years, 7.6 years is what 92 months comes out to, which is like 7.5 years. And then if he doesn't get in any trouble, subtract 15% because you do 85. That would be 6.5 years. So I guess he got, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if they give you time served, but like LA County Jail, you get 2 days for every one if you're fighting your case. But I don't think the feds do it like that. So when you get busted, March 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029. He'd be home probably like 2030. If he gets in no trouble, he'll be home in 2030. And at that point, Adam will be 48. Adam might still be in the no jumper thing, but who knows? He might have evolved and pivot from that. Yeah, man, what do y'all think? You think Brick's going to get the 92 months? I kind of feel like it. I think they're going to go on the low end and give him the 92. I don't know if the judge is going to override this. Because you seen when Bricc called in no jumper like last month and was talking about maybe getting probation and getting house arrest for a year or something, like, I don't see that happening. I just don't. And then after this whole thing starting with the drama with his wife and his kid and everything, like, you think they're gonna release him to the house with the family where all this shit started from? I don't know. I personally don't see it. I was hoping he was gonna get like 4 years, between 4 to 5 years, but the feds don't play, man. And then obviously, who knows if they came to him and wanted to start telling on anything, since obviously he didn't do that, they're gonna throw the book at him, and that's why he's getting the 92 months, it seems like. But I just wanted to review this paperwork, get a video out. Let me know what you all think, man. Like, let me know in the comments. You think he's going to get the whole 92, or you think the judge is going to override it and give him a better deal? We'll find out December 19th, 9 a.m. That's when we're going to find out. You heard Loose Cannon, they're trying to give him 32 years, man. That's crazy. Loose Cannon being like 42, 32 years, 80, I don't know. We'll just round down 25 years. Dude, Loose Cannon going to be like 60 years old when he comes home. Man, this is crazy. But this just, like, bro, this just tells you why crime don't pay, man. And then I think Brick's fighting all this with a public defender. It's not like he stacked a bunch of cash, got a bunch going on, got residuals coming in, so at least he can take care of his family. Like, they're just going to be asked out for this whole 6 years while he's gone. It's messed up. It's messed up. But you do the crime, you got to do the time, right? That's the saying. So, yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do you think he's going to get the 92 months, or do you think he's going to get a better deal? All right, with that, I'm out. I'm going to put this video out and then see what y'all got to say. All right, later.